Hello, I'm Susie Charman. I'm the Executive Director at the Road Safety Foundation. It's my pleasure today to give you an introduction to iRAP. The iRAP methodology helps us to take a proactive risk management approach to tackling road infrastructure safety. A similar proactive approach as is taken in safety critical fields like oil and gas, mining and rail. Rather than waiting for collisions to accumulate before we take action, instead we can use the iRAP methodology to take action based on known risks. Historically, road safety has always taken a reactive approach where we've identified and treated collision cluster sites, black spots or hotspots. We're not saying to stop doing that. Where you have robust, statistically significant collision cluster sites, then it's still well worth treating them. However, they are becoming more and more rare across our networks, and it's really difficult now to find robust collision cluster sites. So what we're trying to do then is to, in some places, take a proactive approach where we measure and manage infrastructure risk and treat it. So why iRAP? Normally in road safety engineering, we talk about those historical collisions, but they are really difficult to find now, and it's really difficult to consider them to be good predictors of future collision sites as well. If, for example, we look at this particular high-risk route that we've identified, across the whole route, there's a high number of collisions, but actually there are no collision cluster sites. The red blobs are the historical serious collisions that have occurred along the route, and there aren't really any clusters there. If you waited a while, you might get one around Croston, but actually there's nothing there. There's no particular themes if you analyse the data there. So actually making a business case is really, really tricky. What we do in iRAP is that we fill in the blanks in the intelligence that's available to us. So the iRAP methodology is based on recording over 50 attributes along the route every 100 metres, and we're able to estimate risk and future fatal and serious injuries based on known relationships between infrastructure attributes and fatal and serious injury risk. What we end up with is a view of risk along the route for vehicle occupants, motorcyclists, cyclists and pedestrians. In the chart at the bottom of the slide, you can see that the grey parts here represent estimated future fatal and serious injuries from loss of control driver-side crashes. The green shows runoff loss of control on the passenger side, the yellow head-on loss of control, the blue head-on overtaking, and the pink spikes show intersection estimated fatal and serious injuries. What we have is a fatal and serious injury estimation of all the different user groups. This is the one just for vehicle occupants, but there's also one for motorcyclists, pedestrians and pedal cyclists. But what we're doing here, because we've got this understanding of the potential fatal and serious injuries and also what kind of fatal and serious injuries, we're kind of filling in the blanks in between those historical collisions. So we're giving ourselves an idea of what risk might be present and how we might treat it. So what we do is we can test out individual countermeasures against the expected fatal and serious injuries of that type. So for example, the yellow shows head-on loss of control collisions. So to treat those, you could put up a median barrier on a single carriageway road. You could completely separate opposing vehicles and thus eliminate all of that yellow, because they pretty much, apart from very rare crossover collisions, they'll pretty much eliminate all of those yellow expected fatal and serious injuries. So really, really effective, but quite pricey. So what we could do instead is to put in some central hatching to give you a little bit of space between opposing vehicles. That will reduce those yellow stacks by just a bit, because it's not completely 100% secure in terms of removing all head-on loss of control, collision, fatal and serious injury outcomes. But it's a bit cheaper. So you can go through and you can test out different countermeasures. There are about 90 of them in the iRAP methodology every 100 metres, and the model will then tell you how effective it is in reducing that kind of collision type for that particular road user group, and how costly the treatment is as well. So it starts to then build you a picture of the investment case that can be made for treatment on that route. So we can systematically treat the risk that we find and eventually eliminate it. I make it sound easy, of course it isn't, and I'll pack some of that later. But here what we have is a chance of doing something before collisions accumulate at a particular location, which is absolutely aligned to Safe System and Vision Zero. So the iRAP model is based on likelihood and potential survivability of crashes based on fundamental research. So the iRAP model provides those star ratings and underpinning star rating scores for vehicle occupants, motorcyclists, cyclists and pedestrians, meaning that we can try and make the road space safe, not just for vehicle occupants, but also those walking and cycling and two-wheeling as well. The iRAP methodology has grown and grown. We're now seeing impact from iRAP across 180 countries globally, and there's been assessments in 132 countries. 1.9 million kilometres of roads have been star rated or had design star rated, and 1.9 million kilometres of roads have been crash risk mapped. We also have a star rating for schools program globally. There's lots of training that goes on, lots and lots of partners. Most importantly, though, there is no road safety impact until something changes on the road itself, and the impact of iRAP has now been understood through a piece of research from Johns Hopkins University, where they are estimating that 700,000 lives and serious injuries will have been saved since 2016 up to the end of 2024. So really important piece of work. The important thing here is that we've seen new infrastructure safety investment as a result of the iRAP programme. The thing that's brilliant for us about the iRAP programme is that everything that we do in the UK can feed into it. So some of the tools that I'll show you later are absolutely up and running and being used and helping to save lives all across the world. The iRAP model itself is governed by the Global Technical Committee, and you can find out lots more information about iRAP on the iRAP website at irap.org. And here's a picture of those people that we rely on at the Global Technical Committee. They're there to make sure that the latest evidence and research from around the world is incorporated, encompassed into that iRAP model, and that any new changes are scrutinised really, really carefully. The iRAP model has been developed in collaboration with lots of research organisations over the last 15 years, and we're just really grateful for those partners and the expertise that they bring to the programme. As well as the Global Technical Committee, there's also an innovation framework where many new developments can be fostered and brought to maturity. Much of the innovation framework at the moment is about trying to use existing data sets, machine learning and other AI type processes to streamline the iRAP data collection. On the iRAP website, you will find an absolute ton of reading matter that documents the way that the model and methodology have been developed and how all those risk factors in the model come together. On the left, you can see the methodology fact sheets, which tell you about the model's progression, its history, and how it's evolved. There are lots of very, very complicated mathematical equations in there for you to peruse at your leisure. But know that the whole model is incredibly well documented. It isn't a black box. It's a very complicated model, which means that it can feel like a black box, but it is actually written down very, very carefully, very, very completely. On the right hand side, you can see the road attribute risk factors. So these are the fact sheets that describe the way that each individual road attribute comes together and influences both the risk or the severity of facing serious injury collisions. So in here, you can find all sorts of things that might be helpful in your day-to-day work as a road safety practitioner. All of the references are in there that tell you where we've got those risk factors from. So there's a wealth of information there. So if you need to know, for example, the relative risk of different curvatures or relative risk of different intersection types, then you can find the information in here and the references for the work that's underpinned at that thinking.